Good morning, and welcome to the Good Morning Show. I'm Chris, your host. The live stream that only exists that depends on my employment status. So, there's a little delay, so I was a little slow on the hello, but we got lots of stuff to cover today, and let's go ahead and get into it. So, believe our first story has to do with George Lucas. How George Lucas reacted to the Star Wars parody Spaceballs. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. And this is coming from Showbiz Cheat Sheet. Because Star Wars is such a cultural juggernaut, it's been parodied numerous times. Often Star Wars is the subject of throwaway gags in movies, such as Ferris Bueller's Day Off and Toy Story 2. Mel Brooks' Spaceballs is certainly the most famous movie that's a Star Wars parody from start to finish. Some artists like to see their work get parodied, meanwhile others take offense. This raises an interesting question: how did George Lucas react to Spaceballs? The deal Mel Brooks made to create his Star Wars parody. Many of Brooks' most famous films are parodies of certain directors or genres. For example, High Anxiety is a spoof of Alfred Hitchcock's movies, and Young Frankenstein is a spoof of the Universal Frankenstein movies. In the same vein, Spaceballs is primarily a spoof of the original Star Wars trilogy, though it includes reference to other science fiction films like Planet of the Apes and Aliens. Brooks was worried Lucas might sue him over the movie, even though parody is protected by copyright laws. Hey, Candy Mom, thanks for joining me. Hey, Kelly, thanks for coming in. He told Entertainment Weekly, "I was afraid to get sued by Lucas. I sent him the script and he said, it's fine." Brooks informed the AV Club there was a caveat. "I wasn't allowed to do any merchandising. I wasn't allowed to do that. My deal with Star Wars was no action figures. This is iconic, as Brooks' characters in the film Yogurt is obsessed with merchandising." Let's see. Although he prevented Brooks from merchandising the film, Lucas embraced Spaceballs fully. His company ILM did all the space effects and post-production for us, and he was so complimentary about the picture. He said, "Take out the comedy and it really works as an adventure." The fact that Spaceballs has a strong story helps it to connect with audiences in a way other comedies don't. In addition, Brooks got a kind note from Lucas. Brooks said Lucas wrote me a lovely note telling me how much he loved the picture. He said it's dangerous comedy. He said, "I was afraid I would bust something from laughing," which is a lovely note. So George Lucas, he enjoyed Spaceballs, which is, I know George Lucas, like I said, this was a universe that he opened up for us all to be part of. And that's what I've always loved about George Lucas was he invited people, fan films and stuff like that, and Spaceballs was one of those. One of the ones I do remember seeing, and it came out not too long after Star Wars, was Hardware Wars, which was a real low budget parody of Star Wars, and I think the funniest thing was you had an iron flying through space and a waffle iron as well, and they were fighting out all kinds of stuff. And you can actually see the fishing wire hanging down, holding the stuff in front of the space areas. But yeah, it's really cool that George Lucas also helped out with Spaceballs, which is really neat. So I think this is a really great thing to see. So let's go ahead. Let's move on to our next bit of news. So let's go ahead. All right. So this is on video game news. And let's see. This is coming from the LAD Bible, LAD Bible. And let me get this down here. All right. I got a lot of stuff popping up. I want to get out of the way. This won't let me move it. All right. So it looks like there's some leaks to Warzone. So the majority of Call of Duty Warzone players seem to agree that the stadium is one of the most disappointing areas on the entire map, despite the sprawling structure being one of the most prominent locations in Verdansk. It doesn't really serve much of a purpose, strategic or otherwise. The domed roof is too large and open to offer any real practical advantage, and you can't even go inside the hole up and defend yourself. The only time I've ever gone to the stadium is when I literally have to pass it on my way to somewhere else, and even then, getting around it is a slog. However, that could all be about to change. The arrival of Season 4 of the Battle Royale came with a massive upload that includes a ton of new modes and weapons, as well as some changes that have yet to materialize. According to leakers who've been going through the game code since the update, there appears to be evidence that the stadium now has an interior, implying that it might finally open up for us some point during Season 4. Given the sheer size of the stadium, being able to battle inside would open up the map in big ways. Let's see. There are a few areas across Verdansk that lead to underground transit areas, but it's worth noting that they're all locked and inaccessible right now. I've always assumed they were just for decorative purposes, but a moving train implies it'll be opening up in some way. It could be that the train forms some kind of new travel system for players to get around Verdansk quickly. So this would change the game a lot, being able to move around by train. Of course, I could see people fighting on the train and everything like that. And it's just something that's really neat. And like I said, they just keep making the game interesting and drawing players back to play. So Call of Duty Warzone, it's actually free for everybody to play. It's not, you don't have to pay for it. But yeah, it's really neat to actually start seeing some of these video game makers actually doing stuff to provide for the community instead of just trying to see what they can do to just get a cheap buck. So I'm so glad that the video game community has changed that. All right, let's look on. All right, we already talked about Celebration. Let's see. Here we go. We got Walt Disney World to reportedly use new theme park reservation system through 2021. All right, and this is coming from WDW News Today. Walt Disney World to reportedly use new theme park reservation system through 2021. Let's see. Of course, okay, so it shows a calendar and it shows dates through it. Of course, these calendars can and may well change as we near opening of the theme. So what it is it's showing from June 16th all the way to August 31st right now. And I think, given that Disney is currently overhauling its existing system of Fast Pass Plus dining plan and more in order to accommodate this new system, it seems the system will not just be a temporary one instituted due to stringent reopening guidelines, but a long-term infrastructure for the theme parks moving forward. Disney has yet to release full details on how the theme park reservation system will work, but so far we know that annual pass holders will be limited in how many reservations they can have at a time. Reservations can only be made for theme parks, made one theme park at a time, meaning that the popular practice of park hopping will be temporarily discontinued for the time being. Stay tuned for all the latest updates. So basically what they're saying is they're going to stick with this reservation system all the way through next year. Now, you know, I'm not an annual pass holder, but I could see how may stop people from buying an annual pass. I mean, the whole reason of having an annual pass is to be able to go whenever you want to. And them saying that you're only going to have a number of reservations for your annual pass, that doesn't seem right. So I don't know. Like I said, I don't have an annual pass. Maybe some of you have an annual pass and you can tell me how you feel about it. But when you buy an annual pass, and especially I was talking to my aunt, and she's annual pass, she's platinum. And she bought that so there was no blackout dates. Well, now, I mean, this is kind of taking away the whole idea for a platinum pass if you only got so many reservations you can make. So I think, we really don't know what Disney's doing yet. And of course, this is from a secondary source. And I'm not saying it's not reliable, but I'm not saying it is reliable. And just like my daughter Heaven says, I don't believe anything until I hear it officially. So, but this whole scheduling thing, it might put a damper on annual pass holders, or even for the sales of annual pass. But let's hope that's not happening. Let's hope that maybe Disney is more or less trying to move more in a positive way, and there's more to this. Like I said, you kind of got to wait and see what goes on. And like I've always said, Disney always has a plan. All right, let's go ahead and move on. Here we go. Wait, I think there was something else up here. Yeah, let's go ahead. All right, so this comes from T-Blog. Walt Disney World Restaurant introducing mobile dine check-in. For guests who will have upcoming Walt Disney World dining reservations, there is a brand new way for you to be able to check into the restaurant with mobile dine check-in. Guests will be able to check into select table service dining locations via the My Disney Experience app. By participating in mobile dine check-in, guests will easily be able to minimize contacts with others. In order to be able to use this option, guests will need their phone, the My Disney Experience app, and a dining reservations at one of the select participating restaurants. It's time to check in for your dining reservation. A push notification will be sent to your phone prompting you to check in for your reservations via the app. If you don't receive the push notification, you can always use mobile dine check-in by scanning a QR code that will be found in the lobby of the restaurant. Guests who use mobile dine check-in won't need to stop at the host stand to check in. Once you access your reservation, you'll be able to confirm your arrival time and the detail of your party. When your table is ready, you will then be instructed of what location to head to in order to be seated. Restaurants that will be offering mobile dine-in check-in will include Magic Kingdom, Be Our Guest Restaurant, Cinderella's Royal Table, Liberty Tree Tavern, and the Jungle Navigation Company Ltd. Skipper Canteen. Epcot, the Oscar House, Royal Banquet Hall, Beer Gardens, Coral Reef, Le Cellier's Steakhouse, Rose and Crown, Disney Hollywood Studios, Hollywood and Vine, Mama Melrose, Ristorante Italiano, 50s Primetime Cafe, Sci-Fi Dine-In, Disney's Boardwalk has the Flying Fish, and the Disney Resorts hotels have Boma, I'm going to say this wrong, Jico, Sanaa, Toledo Top Steak and Seafood. I know I just mentioned that. Mobile dine-in is just another way the Walt Disney World Resort is working to keep guests safe in a COVID world. So this is kind of interesting how they're doing this. So it keeps contact a little distance, and I mean, Disney's doing what they can. So I mean, it sounds interesting, and this is probably just some of the changes we're going to be seeing during this kind of time, which I believe will end here before the end of the year. So maybe Disney will change its mind on a lot of things. We'll have to see. All right, what else do we have? All right, we got some more Star Wars news. All right. And this comes from Dark Horizons. McGregor on Stagecraft for Kenobi series. Ewan McGregor is coming to television again with the up-and-coming Obi-Wan Kenobi series for the Disney Plus service, an event series that will see him reprising the role he played in the Star Wars prequel trilogies. In recent interviews with the Ace Universe, the actor was asked about the project, and while he couldn't say much, he was able to confirm the series will be using the same stagecraft technology used by The Mandalorian. That tech involves thousands of LED screens combined with Unreal game engine, landscapes, and camera positioning and parallax tricks to deliver a convincing illusion of an elaborate environment all in camera. Actors have raved about how much better it is to work in the volume than on a green screen, and that's what McGregor is most looking forward to. This is a quote from Ewan McGregor himself. I think I'm going to enjoy it much more. The prequels were all blue screen and green screen, and it was hard to imagine, but nowadays I think things have moved on so much, and I think a lot of what you see is going to be what we see on the set. I don't know if you've seen the behind the scenes of the Mandalorian series, but they employ that incredible screen. It's pretty amazing. It makes you feel like you're in the place. It's going to feel realer for us as actors. The fourth episode of the recent Disney Gallery The Mandalorian went in depth into the tech. The new Obi-Wan series is set to take place 8 years after the event of Revenge of the Sith and will be directed by Deborah Chow. I believe Deborah Chow actually directed one of the episodes of Mandalorian. I may be wrong, but I think she was. I'll have to go and actually check out the fourth episode. I have not seen it yet, but that sounds amazing. That the tech for different stuff is actually getting to the point where now the actors don't have to use so much of their imagination. Now they actually can react to stuff that they can actually see, and it should bring out better. Okay, Candy Mom, thanks for staying around. All right, let's see what else we got. We got some more stuff. I seen some other stuff. All right. Oh, here we go. So we got a lot of Star Wars stuff going on. All right, so let's see. I do know we got some more Disney news coming up. The one part of Star Wars that everyone agrees is perfect, according to Jon Favreau. It would be a gross underestimate a statement to say that Star Wars fans are some of the most vocal of any within the realm of pop culture. While there are many fans who are respectful, passionate about their love of galaxy far, far away, others can be somewhat toxic and hard to please. This leads to numbers of disagreements and debates among aficionados. However, the Mandalorian's Jon Favreau believes there is one aspect of Star Wars they can agree on. When it comes to Star Wars, Jon Favreau sees the music as one element that all fans love, despite their different opinions on the storylines or dialogues. And we have a quote from Jon Favreau. Everybody has different opinions about which movies they like better, or characters, or lines of dialogue or storyline. Everybody who loves Star Wars, they may have their opinion about the specificities of it, but everybody is in agreement that the music is iconic and perfect. Jon Favreau voiced these thoughts during the most recent episode of Disney Gallery The Mandalorian and went on to say that music-wise, the biggest goal with the series was to avoid coasting off the familiar sounds that fans already love. Another quote, and I think our biggest goal is to not feel like we were just repeating or drawing upon what had become as a shortcut to get through to the audience. Favreau definitely isn't wrong in his assessment. Almost any Star Wars fan can remember the first time they heard John Williams' iconic score as the opening crawl appeared on screen. Honestly, how can one not get chills when Luke Skywalker looks off into the distance on the planet Tatooine, or when the Imperial March plays during the Darth Vader scene? John Williams, whose resume you'll likely more than familiar with, set a gold standard for music and blockbuster with his work in Star Wars. The celebrated composer has scored nearly all the Star Wars films, and its influence has even been felt on the project that he hasn't actually worked on. But as Jon Favreau mentioned, he and the collaborators opted to go in a new direction for Mandalorian. Favreau recorded Ludwig Göransson, the Oscar-winning composer of Black Panther, to add some new to the franchise, which he did. While Göransson's score has this sense of grandness that Williams does, it also a bit more subtle and personal. This has proved to be effective as the music of the show has been generally well received by critics and fans up to this point. Star Wars fans will certainly continue to have their spirited debates about what they think does and doesn't work within the franchise. Still, it's good to know they can all at least bond over their love of the music. This is true, and this, I didn't mention, this does come from Cinema Blend. So, yeah, I mean, the music is iconic for Star Wars. I don't know how many times through the week I've actually found myself either humming the Imperial March or even the Duel of Fates, and of course even the Star Wars theme song itself. So I get he's correct. That is one thing everybody can actually believe on or can be on. So a little bit more video game news. And this comes from, it's still coming up, Essential Sports. Call of Duty new content coming to Modern Warfare and Warzone this week. Last week, Infinity Ward launched Season 4 of Call of Duty Modern Warfare as well as Warzone, and it brought tons of new content. Iconic Call of Duty characters Captain Price joined the operator rank. Modern Warfare received 3 new multiplayer maps, and Warzone welcomed new in-match events. Apart from that, Season 4 also brought a brand new battle pass with lots of new items to earn and equip. Now more content is headed to Modern Warfare and its Battle Royale mode. Activision's weekly blog gives us a general idea about what's coming to the Call of Duty games this week. New game mode and bundle coming to Call of Duty Modern Warfare. For starters, One in the Chamber, described as a fun party mode, will make its debut in the Modern Warfare playlist. It is a free-for-all mode where every player starts the match with only a single bullet and a random weapon. Getting a kill earns them another bullet, and all the guns can kill enemies with one shot. Players will only have 3 lives each in this mode, and the highest score wins the match. For each bullet fired, the aim has to be extremely precise and carefully consideration for each engagement is necessary. On the other hand, Warzone has no new game mode for this week. The limited time mode introduced with Season 4 update, Warzone Rumble, remains. It is a 50 versus 50 team deathmatch mode where players can experience large-scale gun battles across Verdansk. Apart from that, Battle Royale solos, duos, trios, and quads are staying too. So, meanwhile, new bundles are set to be introduced to the in-game store. The Wigio Operator Bundle consists of the Tega skin for Kruger and 3 new legendary weapon blueprints. These blueprints are the Psychosis for assault rifles, the Evil Manifest for submachine guns, and the Crevasse for the new Ice Pick melee weapon. The other new bundles headed to the store is the Notice Me 3 bundle. This bundle features an epic stylish blue Dream Dasher submachine gun, blueprints, and an epic Chibiba Trooper weapon charm, and a cute cadet sticker. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, if you're big into Call of Duty, that's some news for you there. With more updates coming, that's awesome. Let's see, here we go. Disney shows first Disneyland ticket and employee badge. All right. Disney shares first ever Disneyland ticket and employee badge ahead of anniversary. Disney has shared a look at first ever Disneyland ticket and the first Disneyland employee badge about a month before the theme park celebrates its 65th anniversary. What's happening? Disney's D23, an exclusive fan club for Disney enthusiasts, shared two images Thursday related to the history of Disneyland. The first image showed the first Disneyland employee badge, which is a gold with a blue text and star dotted around the outside. And let's see. Give me 1 second. And I will show that to you. And there it is. There's it's a cast member badge. But it's the first ever is what they're saying. And let me pull this back up. Uh-oh. There we go. The badge was worn by Walt Disney in 1955, according to Disney D23. The second image showed off Disneyland ticket number 000001, which was purchased by Royal Disney on July 18, 1955. So let me go ahead and show you that as well. I have that up. And there is the ticket, the first ticket purchased at Disneyland. All right. The ticket includes an estimated price of 91 cents with a 9 cents tax, making the total price $1, which would be about $9.57 today. More from the archives. Disney announced a new Walt Disney Archive documentary called Adventures Through the Walt Disney Archives, which provides an inside look at the rarest seen treasures from the extensive collection. The documentary will explore everything from Disney theme parks to the studio lot, is examined through an engaging historical lens, according to the description from D23. The documentary will premiere on D23.com for Premiere fans and D23 Gold members on June 27. No word on if the film will be released on Disney Plus in the future. So it actually sounds pretty interesting, and I'll tell you what, looking at these cast member badges, they look great. Love how they look. Okay, let's scan on down. We're looking for maybe anything else. All right. All right, so here we go. We got something that's a little entertainment news, and it's from Cinemabillion. Pete Davidson reveals Adam Sandler is one of the most genuine guys in Hollywood. In short, but eventful career, Pete Davidson has gotten to meet a vast array of stars. While a lot of this is due to his work on Saturday Night Live, he's also worked on movies with people like John Turturro and Marissa Tomei. The young actor has also crossed paths with fellow comedian and SNL alumni Adam Sandler, and Davidson has nothing but good things to say about him. Pete Davidson and Adam Sandler recently teamed up to perform a song about social distancing during one of Saturday Night Live's at-home episodes. Davidson recalled Sandler being very kind when he reached out to the veteran entertainer about doing a song, and from there, the two became solid collaborators. I'm pretty tight with the Sandman, which is the coolest thing I've ever get to say. He's just such a cool, nice guy. Can't explain how wonderful a person he is. I just reached out and texted him and was like, hey, is there any shot you would ever want to do a song together? And he was like, hell yeah, buddy. And it was awesome. We just sent each other notes back and forth, and he came up with that great verse. It just fell together. I was really thrilled. So, okay. During his recent appearance on Late Night with Seth Meyers, Pete Davidson couldn't help but gush about Adam Sandler and went on to summarize why he's a great person to work with. He definitely the best, just like caring and sweet and not full of crap, which is very rare to find. Adam Sandler may be known for his over-the-top roles on scenes, but behind the camera, he seems to be a very different person. Sandler is known for working with the same actors like David Spade, Kevin James, and Rob Schneider, and crew members under his production company, Happy Madison. As a result, they've all formed a sort of family, which apparently becomes clear the moment someone walks onto a set. Lauren Lapkus, who recently starred in Happy Madison's The Wrong Missy, got this very vibe when she walked onto set. Some may not believe it, but Sandler has proven to have an essential side as well. This was definitely evident when the actor paid tribute to the late Grown Ups co-star Cameron Boyce on what would have been his 21st birthday. Based on all of this, Pete Davidson's sentiments about Adam Sandler made a lot of sense. One can imagine that the two became particularly close due to their shared experience as comedic actors and Saturday Night Live cast members. They have yet to join forces for a feature film, but it seems like a perfect match. Only time will tell that these two can cook up together in the near future. There was actually a neat story here in Indiana about Adam Sandler. He was traveling through, and he had car problems, and somebody stopped to help fix it, and they actually gave him a ride, gave him something to eat while he waited for his car to get fixed, and I believe Adam was very impressed with how Hoosiers were here in Indiana. So it's a really neat story for me to hear, being that I am a Hoosier, that Adam Sandler loved the hospitality of Indiana. So let's see if we got anything else. This might actually be it. All right, we actually have one more, or actually two more stories. This also comes from Cinema Blend. And this is from the Marvel Universe. 6 Marvel characters who probably would ruin the MCU. The Marvel Cinematic Universe is a carefully crafted big screen world in which most every decision made plays some role in the overall story. Characters have come and gone, and whether they were loved or not, their legacy on the MCU cannot be denied. So far, none of them have been so bad they've diminished the quality of this well-oiled machine. But that could change one day. As the MCU is gearing up for the next phase of storytelling, it's important for Marvel Studios to remember the delicate ecosystem that could come crashing down if the wrong villain, hero, or random character appeared at the wrong time. To be quite honest, there are just some characters who won't work in the MCU, and I would think the movie world would be much better off if these individuals didn't find their way into Marvel movies. Franklin Richards. Franklin Richards is the child of Fantastic Four Reed and Sue Richards, and he's also one of the strongest Marvel characters in existence. His power is considered on a level equal to that of the Celestials, some of whom he's defeated in the past. I'm sure on paper it sounds awesome, which I noted in a past feature, to have a character this powerful in Marvel Universe, but in execution, it would be hokey. I get it. I get why it would be cool, but after seeing Marvel have to work out reasons to keep Captain Marvel out of the story in Avengers Endgame, I think Franklin Richards being a part of this world would be more annoying than interesting. Marvel would constantly be tasking with explaining why Reed and Sue's uber powerful son wasn't just solving all the world's problems, and if they didn't, audience may ask the same question. The Punisher. There are some characters like Deadpool. Uh-oh. I lost my story. Just give me 1 second. Yep. Somehow it dropped down on me. There we go. There are some characters like Deadpool who, while problematic, can probably still work in the MCU. I've been on the fence for years, but now I'm finally ready to step on the side of saying that under no circumstance would putting Frank Castle in MCU movies be a good move. I say that knowing John John Bernthal is just itching to officially be in the MCU, and despite the fact I love his take on the character, I still wouldn't want it. I'm sorry, I may have butchered his name. As a Bertal, maybe? I don't know. Is it weird to have one of the Marvel's greatest characters out of the mix? Absolutely, but it would also be weird to have a hero who is notorious for his unmerciful behavior and murderous tendencies to be anything less than. Marvel movies have become big budget blockbusters that, while high in action, tend to play things safe in regards to controversy. I think the best case scenario would be if Marvel continues to let John Bernthal play the character in television, or maybe find a way to keep him separate from the rest of the MCU in order to keep the problematic part of his character from endangering Marvel movies. Jean Grey. Marvel has tried twice now to make Phoenix happen, and tried to, as it hasn't worked out. After the 2 failed attempts, I think it's high time for someone to admit that the Dark Phoenix saga is one of those story arcs that no movie can effectively adapt, and it's time to search for other arcs in the X-Men saga to take a crack at. Of course, that means serving the biggest arc attributor to Jean Grey and lessening the impact of her character substantially. And yes, unfortunately, that means the new iteration of X-Men would likely need to shift away from Jean Grey, but I don't think that's a bad thing. There are far many interesting mutants in the franchise to follow along with, rather than just have Marvel continually go back to the well and tell that story. That's true of all the main mutants we followed for over 2 decades, but it's especially true with Jean and Phoenix. Onslaught. There are some things that happens in comics that are super cool. Onslaught is prime example of this. As the villain that was the collective consciousness of Magneto and Charles Xavier, was a powerful adversary to be reckoned with in the Marvel comic universe. Onslaught has been one of Marvel's most powerful villains in the past, but does that mean he would be a viable villain in the MCU? Personally, I just don't see this being a character who works on the big screen. I think any character who is created from the collective consciousness of 2 characters is a little out there for big budget movies, and I could easily see people not understanding it or straight up thinking the concept is corny. Personally, I never understood how combining the minds of 2 old men created an ultra buff entity to begin with, and I'd wager others would ask the same if he appeared that way in the MCU. MODOK. For record, MODOK is making an animated series for MODOK, which I think is a perfect idea. MODOK is an iconic Marvel character, and without question should be a character who continues to exist and get stories told within the franchise. All that being said, I couldn't think of a worse villain to bring to the MCU. All because the idea of this character appearing in live action is just ridiculous. Alright, so how many we got? Oh, Sentry. If you were to take all the complaints I've had with both Franklin Richards and Onslaught and put them all into one hero, you have Sentry, this character who sounds really good on paper and has had some solid runs in Marvel, but would just about as hard to write into a movie as it allegedly hard to write Superman and things. And that looks like that's the 6. So that leaves us with one more story. And this story is, where'd it go? Is on Frozen. We got another story on Frozen. And this comes from Screen Rants. Let's take a look. It's loading up. Frozen 2's post-credit scenes may introduce an Elsa plot hole. Frozen 2's post-credit scenes seem to introduce a plot hole when Olaf recounts the movie's events to Elsa's creation, Marshmallow, and the Snoggies. The Frozen 2 post-credit scenes introduce a plot hole when Olaf, Josh Gad, is seen relating the movie's story to Elsa, other snow creatures, Marshmallow, the snow monster from Frozen, and the Snoggies from the Disney short Frozen Fever. When Elsa freezes into solid ice after traveling too far into the depths of Holland. I'm sorry, that's kind of hard for me. Is that Holland? Okay. Olaf dies along with her since he is a product of her magic and only returns when Elsa's physically brings him back to life using her powers at the end of the film. Since all of Elsa's creations disappeared upon her death, Marshmallow and the Snoggies' reappearance in the post-credits scene suggests Elsa recreated them. But why would Elsa go out of her way to bring them back? In Frozen 2, after Elsa and Anna lift the curse over the enchanted forest by exposing their grandfather, King Runyard's, I'm sorry, I may have said that wrong, treachery and destroying the dam he built to deplete the Northumbrian people's resources, there is one thing left to restore at the end of the movie, Olaf. When Elsa brings Olaf back to life, the wind spirit, nicknamed Gale, gathers the snowflakes that were once Olaf and carries them on the wind back to Elsa. Because water in the Frozen franchise retains memory, Olaf is brought back with his personality and his memories of the past two Frozen films intact. When Olaf recaps the event of Frozen 2 to Marshmallow and Snoggies in the post-credit scenes, it's implied that they must have been resurrected by Elsa in a similar manner. But why does Elsa bother to bring back creations whose existence was not only an accident, but a painful reminder of her former inability to control her powers? Wow. So, I think what it is a lot of times people read too much into it. And, it's fantasy. That's what it is. I mean, to see that as a plot hole, I don't even see that as a reason to answer that Disney would even need to answer that question. So, but I understand what they're saying. Once again, it's kind of like what I've said about Star Wars is watching these movies through the eyes of a child. And I really think that's what it is. And I think a lot of people miss out on that. They're always trying to look to see behind the curtain, to see what's going on. And it's no fun when you find out how the magic's made. So it's just best to let it go and to let it go. I didn't even mean to do that. That was but to let it go and just enjoy it for what it is, for the story. But that was our last story for the show, and I hope you really enjoyed it. If you're in the chat, please hit the like button. Thank you, chat, for coming in. I appreciate all of you. Candy Mom, Kelly from the Mickey Bunch, and I thank both of you for coming in. Yeah, so a lot of information out there. We will be back tomorrow at 9 a.m. Once again, the existence of the show relies on my employment status. So, as for that, if you are watching this in the replay, please give me a like and a comment on how you think it's doing. Also, if you've just found my channel and you like my content, please hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you know when I go live or when we post a video. But as for that, one more time, I'll tell you, good morning. I hope you have a good day, and I hope to see you tomorrow on the Good Morning Show tomorrow with me to listen to more entertainment news on Disney, Star Wars, video games, anything I can find that I think is interesting. And I hope to see you tomorrow. We'll see you later. Bye.